Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we'll be reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 4, text number 25. Vidura Vacha Jnanam Param Swatmaraha Prakasham Yad Aha Yogeshvara Ishvaraste Bhaktum Bhavano Urihati Yadi Vishnor Britya Svabrityartha Kritascharanti. Translation. We'll do word for word. Vidura Vacha, Vidura said, Jnanam, knowledge, Param, transcendental, Svatma, regarding the self, Raha, mystery, Prakasham, enlightening, Yat, that which, Aha, said, Yoga Ishvara, the master of all mystics, Ishvara, the Lord, Te, unto you, Bhaktum, to narrate, Bhavan, your good self, Na, unto me, Arhati, deserve, Yat, for, he, reason of, Vishnu, of Lord Vishnu, Britya, servants, Svabritya Artha Krita, for the interest of their servants, Charanti, do wander. Translation. Vidura said, O Uddhava, because the servants of Vishnu, the Lord, wander in the interest of serving others, it is quite fit that you kindly describe the self-knowledge with which you have been enlightened by the Lord himself. Purport. The servants of the Lord are actually the servants of society. They have no interest in human society other than to enlighten it in transcendental knowledge. They are interested in imparting knowledge of the relationship of the living being with the Supreme Lord, the activities in that transcendental relationship, and the ultimate goal of human life. That is the real knowledge which can help society achieve the real aim of human welfare. Knowledge in the matter of the bodily necessities of eating, sleeping, mating, and fearing, transformed into various branches of advancement of knowledge, is all temporary. A living being is not the material body, but an eternal part and parcel of the Supreme Being, and thus revival of his self-knowledge is essential. Without this knowledge, the human life is baffled. The servants of the Lord, Vishnu, are entrusted with this responsible work, and so they wander over the earth and to all other planets in the universe. Thus, the knowledge which was received by Uddhava directly from the Lord deserves to be distributed in human society, especially to persons like Vidura, who are highly advanced in the devotional service of the Lord. Real transcendental knowledge descends in the disciplic succession from the Lord to Uddhava, from Uddhava to Vidura, and so on. Such supreme transcendental knowledge is not possible to achieve by the process of imperfect speculation, as performed by the so-called learned mundane wranglers. Vidura was anxious to know from Uddhava that confidential knowledge known as Paramam Sthitim, in which the Lord is known by his transcendental pastimes. Although Vidura was older than Uddhava, he was anxious to become a servant of Uddhava in the transcendental relationship. This formula of transcendental disciplic succession is taught by Lord Chaitanya also, Lord Chaitanya advises that one receive transcendental knowledge from anyone, whether a Brahmana or a Shudra, a householder or a sannyasi, provided that person is factually conversant with the science of Krishna. A person who knows the science of Krishna is factually a bona fide spiritual master. Om Jnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So I just want to apologize in advance. I just asked Lakshmi Kanta Prabhu to switch my day last minute yesterday, so I actually did not get to read this section beforehand. So my classes, which already are quite short, this one might even be shorter because I have not read this verse in advance. So I apologize for that. But if anybody would like to add anything that I might miss, please do so, and please correct me if I'm making any mistaken statements as well. So this verse, I'll read the translation again. Vidura said, O Uddhava, because the servants of Vishnu, the Lord, wander in the interest of serving others, it is quite fit that you kindly describe the self-knowledge with which you have been enlightened by the Lord himself. So I really love this verse because so we're hearing about how Uddhava has finished speaking with Vidura, and now Vidura is appreciating how servants of the Lord, such as Uddhava, it is essentially their quote unquote wandering is actually a service to the Lord, which is that it is through that wandering that they come in touch with unsuspecting jivas, and then they get to share about Krishna, about their own love for the Lord to those jivas, and then that gets transmuted into the hearts of those jivas that they come in touch with. So Vidura is appreciating that, and he's saying that it's quite fit that you kindly describe the self-knowledge with which you have been enlightened by the Lord himself. And so the first thought that was coming to my mind actually was that there's this word that comes up in the context of, oftentimes when this discussion comes up of, well, how does one get the mercy of a devotee? And one word that comes up in a few verses in the Bhagavatam is yadrichaya. And the word yadrichaya can be translated in different ways, but the way that I tend to hear it translated is somehow or other. So basically that means, if the question is asked, how does one receive the mercy of a devotee? The answer may be given yadrichaya, somehow or other. Somehow or other, one comes in contact with a devotee. So the implication of that phrase, somehow or other, implies that, well, it's not necessarily within my power to find a devotee, and it's also not necessarily within the power of a devotee to find me. The implication might be there that, it's not like any amount of effort on my side will necessitate me coming in touch with the devotee, but rather somehow or other one comes in touch with the devotee, and if one is lucky enough to come in touch with such a devotee, then they get to receive that mercy. But this is very nice because it's Vidra's basically explaining that that Uddhava's quote unquote wandering is like it's his service. It's literally Uddhava's service to just wander and come in touch with the devotee, come in touch with jivas and share his Krishna consciousness with them. And all of the servants of Vishnu are in the same, doing the same service of wandering. Literally, they just wander the creation and they come in touch with jivas, and then their service is just the act of them coming in touch with jivas. I mean, even when we think about Srila Prabhupada, at the height of ISKCON's growth, Prabhupada, I forget how many times did he travel around the world? 7 times, 8 times. He literally traveled around the entire globe. And so, for someone to be at that level of material kind of accomplishment, he could just travel for fun, right? He doesn't have to travel for, as the leader of such a flourishing organization, Prabhupada could simply choose to travel for fun, but every place that he traveled, every place that he quote unquote wandered was graced by his touch, was graced by his presence, because it was through that quote unquote wandering that he was able to share this Krishna consciousness. So anyway, I just wanted to highlight that kind of the way that Vidura is framing Uddhava's wandering as such a glorious activity. And it's very beautiful to hear it explained in this way. The other aspect of this purport that Prabhupada brings out is how this knowledge that Uddhava is sharing, which is transcendental knowledge, is the only real knowledge worth disseminating, because all of the knowledge related to the material realm is ultimately it's not beneficial, because it's not permanent. So there's so much knowledge available to humanity related to the sciences, to history, to the future of the material, progression of society. But all of that knowledge is ultimately temporary, and this transcendental knowledge which Uddhava is sharing with Vidura is permanent, because it serves the eternal soul and its relationship with the eternal whole, Krishna. So Prabhupada is also highlighting this aspect of how Uddhava's dissemination of knowledge is that much more valuable. And then, this last point about disciplic succession, Prabhupada is explaining how this interaction that's happening between Vidura and Uddhava is an example of disciplic succession taking place. And we can also see Prabhupada explains that Vidura is actually younger than Uddhava, which I actually wasn't. I'm sorry. Uddhava is younger than Vidura, but Vidura is so anxious to hear from Uddhava, irrespective of his caste, his, the orientation of his age in relation to himself. And so we experience this already, even within our own ISKCON society. I mean, we have even like devotees within our own congregation who there may be more older devotees who defer to the knowledge and sharing of younger devotees. An example that I think of is our Gopal Hari Prabhu and Shatrupa Mataji, Patibahu Prabhu. They're all doing the service of sharing Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav courses with many devotees in our congregation, and many of which who are probably older than them as well. But there's kind of a natural deference to them, because they're, self evident, scholars. I'll use the word scholars, but also they have this enthusiasm to share this knowledge with so many of the devotees in our congregation, which is we're so grateful for. And even across the ISKCON world, I mean, I also think of I've been hearing more and more about Hari Prasad Prabhu, and I've been hearing so many sannyasis across the entire ISKCON world are listening to Hari Prasad Prabhu's classes. And so it's like, it's very encouraging, just to see that there is this regard for devotion and dissemination of transcendental knowledge over, are they quote unquote older than me or more senior than me? And so here we're also seeing that Vidura, who is externally senior to Uddhava, does not have any kind of reserve in hearing from Uddhava, because he sees him as senior in regards to the knowledge that he's able to share, in regards to the knowledge that Uddhava is able to share with Vidura. So that's very beautiful. These are the main points that are standing out to me at this time. I'm sure that I missed so much, and I'm sure that so much more could be said about this verse. And I'm very sorry again that I didn't get a chance to prepare more for this, but I hope that's okay. Does anybody have any comments or questions that they would like to add? Any corrections, especially?
Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for bringing that point. It's so beautiful. I was thinking of you, example of you. Whenever you share, I'm sure it's your own devotion and hearing from the senior devotees and your mood in hearing and serving them. The clarity of understanding and the maturity of looking at things comes out so nicely. So Vrindavan Prabhu and myself, we actually think of that and really appreciate, especially your generation. Of course, you're mentioning Gopal Hari Prabhu, Shatrupa Mataji, and Pratibha Prabhu. It's really amazing to see that kind of a clarity, irrespective of age. One doesn't have to be like so senior or sannyasi for us to hear. Because in our early days, I used to hear this, like if Sunday feast is spoken by like, not so popular, not many devotees would come. I used to wonder like what's going on. But then this point you're bringing up, of course, I mean, each person is attracted to a certain type of speaker. That's a different thing. But irrespective of that, when their connection and understanding to the Shastra and how they're receiving from the parampara is strong, it's wonderful to be able to hear from anybody. And your example of bringing Hari Prasad Prabhu, I mean, we just heard like some 2 recent sessions. I think Vrindavan Prabhu was hearing this Nectar of Instruction sessions. He just sent me one. I mean, it's just so amazing, the clarity and the maturity and the fidelity to Srila Prabhupada and Bhagavatam, even though he may go to so many other Puranas. So I'm really appreciating that and feeling very grateful that we have these people, and also the attitude or the mindset that it's encouraged when we see, Maharaj encouraging these young devotees and he himself hearing. That really sets the example for all of us to do that. So just taking that, just would like to appreciate you and express my gratitude for whenever you get a chance to speak or hear. Thank you so much. And sing, of course. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Mukunda, please accept my humble obeisances to all glories to Srila Prabhupada. I couldn't have put it in so many nice words like Amritakali Mataji. I'm glad she spoke first. Yeah, I was thinking in same terms. And of course, you are Premanta Mataji's kids, your generation. So that is, that speaks volumes for your training you have received and how you always connect with them. The most deepest level of understanding Shastra, and your presentation reflects that a very fine understanding in great detail and depth. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna. We are very proud of you and your peers. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody would like to share anything else? Okay. We can pause there again for today. Again, thank you for your patience with me, and I'm sorry again that I didn't have more to say. I think this verse is very beautiful, but anyway, thank you all so much. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, you may end the call. I think you are the host.
Okay, sure.
Prabhu.